Hello. Okay. Let me zoom in a bit. Boop, 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 boop. 18. Hi, Fitness. Okay. So I'm not exactly sure how long the stream will be. But I have... So, last time I learned how to initialize Direct3D 11 and open a window, and we did, create this cornflower blue background, which is like very nice. But now I would like to get an image displayed. And I'm completely new to this, no idea how to do this, right? But I already did some preliminary work on this, and that is just trying to figure out how to load an actual image, right? So we have this thing right here, my super artistic texture. It's just 512 by 512, and I give it like a border so I can know, see kind of how it displays where it is, if things are squished or not. And because I am not using the C runtime, right? Well, that doesn't really matter. That doesn't... No, it has nothing to do with image loading. Forget that I said that. But anyways, so I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I actually get all the contents of the PNG? And there's multiple ways to do it, right? So I could either write my own PNG loading, which is kind of nuts for the beginning, right? Or I could use a library that's already there. Now, Windows doesn't really come with any sort of... I mean, that's not quite true. It does come with image loading capabilities, but it is a whole separate library. Where did I see this? I think it's on the other one. I have two browsers open today because, for some reason, DuckDuckGo doesn't really work. So, and I just looked up stuff here, but I can actually close this one. Yeah. Let's see, does DuckDuckGo work again? Nope. We're currently experiencing an issue with DuckDuckGo search. It's fantastic. Oh, I can do gtest, and then it just searches Google. Ugh, I don't want Google. Do they have, like, Bing? Sorry, I did not stop. Oh, Bing works. Okay, fine, cool. I can use Bing then, whatever. So, or I could use a library. There is one that ships with Windows, which is the... what is it called? It's like something very weird. Good gosh, I sure have a lot of tabs open. Well, that always happens when I learn something new, so... come on, man. I had this open before. Samples, fundamentals. Oh. I didn't see these parts. But I think here on applying texture it actually says that. Nope, that's just using helper libraries on their own. So they also offer like helper libraries that they use on the samples, which you can use. And then there's this weird library that now I lost the tab, so I don't really know what it's named again. Oh, here we go. Initialize texture from file. Right, so there is this Windows imaging component that you can use. And WIC for sure, because Microsoft loves their acronyms, right? But you then have to add like this whole separate library into your build and things like that, and I didn't really want to do that. So I figured I'd look for something else. And one thing I found was STB, right? So I'm already using this STB, where is it? sprintf, right? Which is basically a printf implementation without using the C runtime libraries. And I've been using that for quite a while. And then I remembered they also created an image header right here, so STB image. Hello, Kakalak Joe. Oh, ads seem to be in progress. I'm sorry. I'll wait it out a bit. It's just a minute. Okay, 40 seconds. Oh, that sure is a long time. Twenty seconds. Ad break should be over in 5. Okay, fine. So I saw this STB image library right here, which basically has functionality for JPEG loading, PNG loading, TGA, BMP, and all this kind of stuff. I just need PNG, and luckily you can disable all the other components and only use PNG. So I wired that one in, right? So I have this STB image right here, which is the header only library. And then I'm pulling it in, but it needs a bunch of defines to make it like work properly, right? For one thing, it needs an assert macro, which luckily I have my own assert macro, right? So I didn't want to pull in the whole assert from the C library, so I just defined stbi assert right here. So it uses my assert macro instead. Then it also needs malloc, realloc, and free. Now, I usually use memory arenas, so I don't, I'm not quite happy about this, but essentially it wants to call malloc, realloc, and free. But because I do not have the C runtime library enabled, I do not have malloc, realloc, or free, right? That's just something I do not provide. So I kind of had to provide my own versions of it that just call into heap alloc. This is exactly what the C runtime library is doing as well on Windows. It just basically calls heap alloc at some point, or heap realloc, or heap free, right? But there's some certain behaviors that they rely on, which heap realloc, for example, doesn't have. For example, they pass in a null block and expect to then just call malloc instead, which heap realloc doesn't do automatically. So I had to just provide my own implementation here where it says, okay, if the block is 0, actually call malloc. If the size is 0, then we probably want to freeze something, and otherwise just call heap realloc, right? Still get the process heap, which is initialized by default, so that's nice. But it would be nice if I can kind of use arenas for this kind of stuff, but I think then I cannot use STB image. I kind of would have to provide my own image loading at some point. But just for the test of it right now, that's just not in, right? I don't want to spend a bunch of weeks trying to get my own PNG loading going or whatever, right? So anyways, then I define a macro so I only have the PNG component, so everything else will be stubbed out of the library. I'm not using stdio, again, because I do not have the C runtime library enabled. This I had to define So it would use the static method instead of the extern one. I had a bunch of weird errors if this wasn't defined, and it's same with no thread locals. This is for error messages. I do not have any multi-threading whatsoever. The STB image library will only be called ever from one single thread, so I can just say no thread locals. It doesn't really matter, right? It's just for the error values that you can get returned. And then I'll also, of course, specify the implementation, because, well, I need the implementation, right? I don't have a separate C file where I put this in. I just put this in here. Same with any other C file that I, include. So, anyways, so that is that. Then in program, okay, this was some testing that I did. So we have the setup DirectX stuff, right, with our super named struct DirectX stuff. But then I have this little load image from file function right here. I pass in an arena again because if I open the file and actually read it, I still need some buffer to put it into, so I might as well just use my arena. That is the file, right? And then it returns us the x and y. So actually just x and y is kind of weirdly named. It's width and height, right? Really. So width and height. And also the channels it's using. So it's probably going to be 4 channels by default. I mean, I don't have any other files that are not 32 bits and 4 channels. So anyways, and this just returns a buffer, right? So this is the actual image pixels formatted in RGBA, I think. Let me verify that. I think I need to look in STB image. And where's the docs? Yeah, red, green, blue, and alpha. Right. So, now the function in itself is quite simple, right? Oh, I also added functionality to just have some output on the console. So if I run this, right, build run, you can now see there's some console output. That's just for me to debug things, so I know what's going on, so I don't have to jump into the debugger all the time. At the moment, it just says loading image, right, what kind of image, and then, well, it was successfully loaded, so it prints that out as well. Otherwise, if there would be something wrong, it prints, an error message. Also reports the exit code, but this is not really useful at the moment. Anyway, so all it's doing is calling create file of Windows, gets the file size, so I know how big the buffer should be. I get a buffer from my arena. I read the whole file, just plain copy it into memory, right? And then I am going to call, well, I'm closing the file handle, obviously, but then I'm going to call stbi load from memory. So this basically takes in the buffer that I filled up before and interprets that buffer as a PNG file, because again, it's the entire PNG file just in memory, and then gives me out the variables that I need and also returns the buffer of the actual pixel data in the end. And then I return the memory arena buffer because I no longer need it, right? We have read the file, so I can just evict it from memory and just keep the pixel data. So, and now I need to figure out how to display that pixel data, right? So I need to figure out how to create a texture, texture 2D, I believe, in DirectX. Need to put in the pixel data that I have into that texture, right? Or at least point to that buffer. I'm not quite sure how it does it. I hope it doesn't do another copy. That would be quite wasteful. And then I need to figure out how to pass this into the device context and actually get something out of screen. And I think what I need then is, specify a triangle, well, 2 triangles to have a quad, and then put the texture over it. So there's already a lot of stuff that I need to figure out how to do, right? So I think the first thing the image is loaded, but let's just ignore it. And the first thing I'm going to look into is how to actually display a triangle with just the color, right? That's what some of the tutorials do as well. Let me close this. So, where are the tutorials? Like this one, for example. So there's drawing a triangle in directxtutorials.com. I have no idea whether the site is any good or whatever. Most of the stuff I have ignored because, I mean, I'll just look into the documentation, right? But at the moment, the docs do not offer me any... Wait, this is Windows style. I don't need that. I was looking up some stuff yesterday. Have you read the Common Plain C series articles by Jeff Glatt? No, I have not. Any good? Anything useful? Because like I do know how to use it. There's just some handy macros for like com stuff, so that is fine. Already had to use com to set up DirectX, so I think I'm good. One thing that I need to look into though is releasing buffers. So as you can see, I have some test code here about like references, just to check the reference count of things. But I think the back buffer I actually need to release after creating the render target view of it. Because the buffer actually lives in the swap chain and I'm just getting a reference out of it. But then once I'm done using it, I need to release that reference. But I have not done that. No, I have done that here. Never mind. And this is just me playing around with references to see it in things. Anyways, okay, so these are the formats, right? Probably close this. We might need this open. Okay, this is like improving stuff. These I have no idea about. Apply textures to primitives. Well, kind of need to know how to do primitives first, right? So draw primitives. Okay. Right, so it already talks about compiling shaders, right? Ideally, apparently, you should use fxc.exe to compile your shaders during the build time, right? And you can compile them in different ways. Either you compile them into object files that you then later load in your program, or you can, you know, compile them into header files as well. So you can just include them as you would any kind of code. Or you could also just have the shader files, you know, in your data directory and then compile them during runtime, which is what I will be doing right now. But obviously, when you want to ship the game, you probably do not want to do that. But as a test right now, I'm just going to use do that. So I do not need to use fxc.exe. But okay, this is the flip model. Sorry, I have lots of stuff open. I think one of the tutorials showed how to... Yeah, it has this one, D3D X11 compile from file. But I think the X11 stuff is like a helper library again. Let's see. D3D11. I didn't even need to specify that. It's in the name, isn't it? So what is this? This is in D3D X11 lib. And what is X11? Oh, it's just a utility app. Ugh. Oh, there's HLSL compile APIs. That's probably what I want. D3D compiler H. Yeah, I have to add the whole compiler. Hey, great. Ugh. It's okay. Let's just add that. Because I don't want to set up a whole build pipeline and stuff like that. I want results today. So what do we want? We probably want a vertex shader HLSL, right? And then probably a pixel shader HLSL. So that's like the only thing I know about this pipeline, right? So you have some kind of vertex data that describes your object. The vertex shader does a per oh, sorry, I bumped the mic. Does some per vertex stuff, right? Probably translated from the object coordinates into like the world coordinates, I assume. And then when it comes to rendering the whole pixels for the triangle that you're drawing or the vertex shape or whatever, you can then call a pixel shader for each pixel on this vertex and then specify like, you know, something. You can write a little program for it, right? So you can manipulate the pixel on a per pixel basis. So in that instance, the pixel shader will just be adding the texture data onto it, right? But you can play around with color, I assume. You could make it grayscale or whatever, put some effects on it and things like that. But that's all I know about this stuff. So let's see HLSL. Semantics. Shader models, compiler reference. Okay, that's probably the page I want to have open. Programming guide for HLSL. Compiling shaders. See this one. Compiler shader. Nice. But we also kind of need a shader, right? So what do I put in there? Let's look at the tutorial. How about that? Okay, you're creating vertex buffers. Sure. Adding it to the pipeline. Fine. Shaders.shader. What? Ah, there we go. Oh wait, you can have them both in the same... Okay, well, that makes things easier. So I just need one HLSL file. Okay. Shader. I assume. No, but here in the draw primitives, they do have separate ones. And you're calling create vertex shader and create pixel shader separately. Okay, fine. Vertex shader, right? So what does it have? A vertex shader input, which is 2 floats for the position, so X and Y. Okay. You have a pixel shader input, which seems to be the output of the vertex shader. Okay. But that is a float 4. For this lesson, set the vertex depth value to 0.5. Okay, fine. And then whatever we have 4, I don't understand, but and this is just the color then, RGBA. Okay. Well, let's copy this. So a vertex shader input, pixel shader input, which is a great name. Pass in the position, which is 2 floats. So X, Y, Z is set to 0.5, and then whatever W is then. Okay. So how do I compile this then? D3D compile from file. How about we make a separate compile shaders. Compile and load shaders, right? Let's just do it like this. Void compile and load shaders. D3D compile from file. So we want the file name, so that would be in data vertex shader.hlsl. D3D shader macro, optional. An optional array of D3D shader macro structures that define shader macros. Each macro definition contains a name. Null terminated. Blah, 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 blah. I guess I don't have any. I assume. Right. Includes an optional pointer to an D3D include interface that the compiler uses to handle include files. I mean, I don't think I have include files, so no. Entry point. A pointer to a constant null-terminated string that contains the name of the shader entry point function where shader execution begins. When you compile an effect, D3D compile from file ignores p entry point. When you compile an effect, is this an effect? I don't think it is. Isn't the entry point this? Let's try and set it like this. Otherwise, we might set it to null. Right. Target. A pointer to a constant null-terminated string that specifies the shader target or set of shader features to compile against. The shader target can be a shader model. The target can also be an effect type. Specify compiler targets. Direct3D 11 and 11.1 feature levels. Well, this is gonna be a vertex shader, right? So we probably want this. VS50. Okay, flags. A combination of shader compile options that are combined by using... Okay, but what are the compile options? Decompile, debug. I mean, we do not do decompile, so we're trying to do the other way. We're trying to compile. Oh, it's decompile, not decompile. Brain fart. I'm sorry. Skip validation, skipped optimization. I don't know, dude. Whatever. No. Flags 2. A combination of effect compile options. Thanks for the follow. Zero. Screw that, right? Okay. The PP code. A pointer to a variable that receives the pointer to the ID3D blob interface that you can use to access the compiled code. Okay, so you're compiling the code, and what you get back is a blob. And a blob, I assume, is just return data of arbitrary length. So it's just going to be a bag of bytes, basically. Okay. So we want the blob. This is going to be our vertex shader blob. At the moment it's 0. And this is going to be VS blob. Error messages as a blob. Or null if there are no errors. So this is a way to just check errors. Okay, so VS errors. VS errors. I assume there is then a way to interpret that blob as actual errors, right? Returns one of D3D 11 return code. Well, fantastic. SOK. There was this success thing, right? It failed. That was it. So it failed. We could then figure out what the error is. But I mean, I'm just reporting a fatal Windows error, which will have the wrong error message. But at the moment, I do not care. Didn't I used to have a... Yeah, there we go. That's more like it. I want it with the comment, so I don't forget that this is rubbish. This is rubbish! Okay, and... right. I need to include the library, though, right? So... where are we? Here. So we want to include D3D compiler. To do, remove this and compile shaders during build as header file. And we want the D3D compiler lib. Okay. That's gonna go in here. Thanks for all the tabs. What the hell was that? So there's an add break in progress. I have too few arguments for that call. Well, isn't that interesting? Why? What have I missed? So we have file name, we have defines, we have includes, we have the entry point, we have the target, we have the flags, and we have the other flags. We have the PP code, and we have the PP error messages. So why is that? Oh, is it because I still had this down here? Oh my lord. Okay. No, that was just right now. Never mind. My brain is... Different types of formal and actual parameter 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What do you mean? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there's a comma missing. Oh my lord. Okay, well, that actually compiled now. So let's see, right? So we build, and let's look in the debugger. That's gonna be here. Bam. All right, I still have. No, I still have breakpoints everywhere. Wait, there's no breakpoint there. What do you want? It's because of this one. Oh, for crying out loud. Let's remove all of them. There we go. I was trying to debug something in STB image. Okay, so we actually got an error. Interesting. But VS errors is null. Why is that? We are in the right folder. We are in vertex shader.hlsl. Vertex shader HLSL, and it is in the data folder. So why can't you find it? Is it because of the entry point? Do you not like the entry point? Let's see. Nope. Okay then. So here we kind of have to look at the output of the file then. Stop. Right, so D3D compile from file returns H result, and then we can take that H result and do this. Right. Results, and we can figure out what the H result is. So it will be one of these return codes. Do they have the numbers in there? Okay, they do. That is good. So now if we build and then go in here, we should be able to see what result is. What on earth? What? How? What? So that doesn't work. Did I miss something? Okay, there is a few warnings, but those are not in here. Those are for the image loading stuff, which is fine. Hang on, 111. Incompatible types from char to LPC. Oh no, it wants wide strings. Stupid Windows with its wide strings. I hate it so much. Ugh. I fucking hate it. I mean, they finally introduced UTF-8 for most of the things. You can just use the A versions, but I guess for Direct3D, you're just shit out of luck. Oh, man. Well, even more of a reason to, like, get rid of this and don't do it at runtime, right? But okay, it is what it is right now. Right, so let's try again. Let's do a breakpoint here as well. Okay, we're still getting an error. But I still can't figure out what the result is. Like, how... Why is it not showing? That is, like, the weird part. It's a handle, alright. A handle is a void pointer. But, like, show me, like, what's going on. Like... Okay, what is an H result? Cool. Cool. Okay. When 32 H result. This is a 32-bit value. So why? So it's a U32, right? Thank you. Hex. There we go. Oh my god. I don't know why it couldn't deal with like the H result part, but okay, now we can figure out what the actual error code is saying. Return codes. There we go. So we have it's none of those. Fantastic. Good start. It's none of those either. What the fuck? Okay. Invalid call. D3D error invalid call. Okay, D3D error invalid call. The method call is invalid. For example, a method's parameter may not be a valid pointer. Interesting. Interesting. Let's look at the definition again. So those are C strings. That is fine. If not used, set to null. That's fine. So this can be null as well, which is fine. You can set that to null, that is fine. A target is specified right here. Flags are just ints, so it must be one of these. let's have a look-see on this one, right? So they're calling this one, which kind of looks similar. The only difference is it has a thread pump and another H result for some reason. Okay, what if I pass in the start method again? So like this, right? Build. You're right. I could check the blob for the errors, but beforehand it was actually 0. Now it is not. So now I can actually check it. Yeah, you're right. But we also have a different return code now, so that is good. So let me check that one quickly. Maybe that gives us already an idea before I try to figure out how to read the blobs. Attempted to create a device with the debug layer enabled and the layer is not installed. Are you kidding me? Why do you need the... Okay, so you need the debug layer if you want to compile, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so it's creating internally probably a device with a debug layer. But why... Okay. D3D runtime is constructed with layers starting with the basic functionality. As a general rule, layers add functionality. Okay. To create a device that supports the debug layer, you must install DirectX SDK to get D3D SDK layers DLL, and then specify the D3D11 create device debug flag. Great documentation site. Right. Okay, cool. This is so great. This is so Microsoft. This is like... Alternatively, you can enable disable the debug flag using the DirectX control panel. You go in here, you have this empty page where there's nothing in there, and then it says this context move to DirectX control panel tool. You click on it, and it's your generic help site because the link is broken. $1 trillion business, everybody. Okay, anyways, the debug thing. Okay. D3D11 1 SDK layers DLL. So I don't have it installed. What I'm wondering, is there a lib to this that I failed to include? Okay, is there a lib? No, so D3D even SDK layers.h just needs D3D11 lib. Okay. What's this? Why did I open you? Okay. Well. Okay, that is just the debug layer stuff. Fine. I could check whether it's installed or not. I'm wondering, what if I do... all right. What if I do... Ah, crap. I have warnings as errors enabled. Right, that probably won't work like that. Okay. No, I need to install the debug layer then. Okay, fine. I thought I installed like the Windows SDK and everything. Where would I even find that stuff? Oh, hang on. Build tools. VC kits 10. Redist D3D. X64. Okay. Guess I don't have it then. I do not want to... This is going to be annoying. I do not want to break my current install, so... Crap. Hey, DuckDuckGo is working again. Cool. Okay, Windows. Shit, man. What? How does that work? So I think I'm on 226.1.0. But that's the archive. Where's the actual one? Is it just up SDK? Is there a way to just download a DirectX software development kit? There seems to be. From 2021. Great. What if I go over Visual Studio? But that will probably break my current install as well. Is it part of WinSDK? Okay. I hate that they're doing this. Honestly, it's just so annoying. I don't... Ah! Is that the right version? 10.0.2261. No. It's 261. Okay, fuck it. Let's just download it. Are you kidding me? So all of this stuff right here in the default folder is actually for my Visual Studio install. I use a separate tool, which is called Portable Build Tools, that kind of installs like bare minimum stuff, and it installs it right here, right? And then it runs this little script here before I start my editor, where it then sets the right SDK directory and stuff like that and points to the right tools. I ideally would not like to change that, but it seems like I have no choice, and that I can't even change the... It's just like... Allow Microsoft to collect insights. No, fuck off. What the fuck? No. No, no, no. No, 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 no. Nope. What's this? Nope. Sure. Wait, why did this deselect? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? I don't care about W... 2.1 gigabytes. I just need a fucking debug layer. Nah, this is rubbish. Dude, this is rubbish. This is so rubbish. Development for this stuff could be so straightforward, but Microsoft just makes it incredibly hard for no fucking reason whatsoever. Apart to stroke some manager's ego, I suppose. It's just so brain dead. Just like, I just want the DirectX stuff. Give me a fucking download to the DirectX stuff. I don't need all this other shit. Like... And this was actually possible back in the day, right? So I'm talking like DirectX 6 or like 7 or whatever. I'm sorry for the rant, but stuff like this makes me incredibly angry. It's just... It's stupid for no fucking reason whatsoever. Yeah, or even 9 had an SDK, yeah. It's just... So did that work now? But now I have to refer to the right window kit stuff, which it's just... Right. Okay. So, window kits. Okay, lib. So this is the new installed one. What is D3D CSXD? What about... Is there still a DirectX control panel or anything like that? Does anyone know? Maybe I can just enable debug there and then it will work, but... It's just annoying. Gaming, no. Yeah, but that doesn't quite help me, right? I just need to know which lib actually the debug layer is on, or what I need to do to install the debug layer. Like, they say, okay, install this SDK, but like, you know, it's just a pain. Okay, well, I mean, I can just refer to this window kit stuff and change my run script, right? So let's save this one and then open this one here. And I probably want to refer to different things. So I want to refer to so it's gonna be this version instead. Windows Kits is installed here, right? Do I need quotation marks because of the space? I don't know. Tools, build tools. I mean, where would those even live? Certainly not here, right? So I mean, maybe I don't need to change the build tools. I might have to. Ugh. Okay. Oh, you don't need quotation marks. Yeah, okay. So we need to change this, 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 this. Okay, and then the Windows version. So this part right here needs to be this one, right. And MSVC, I just want to use the old one, to be honest. I'm not going to change that. Okay. Let's see if I've broken the world. Projects, faded memory, build. I can still build. So that's good. Run debug. This is not gonna work because I am in the wrong target folder. Well, it's still the same debug layer error message, so that did just fuck all. Fantastic. So that was absolutely useless. Where are the errors? Return codes. Oh, sorry. I think links are disabled. If you want, just give me a rough idea of what you were looking for, then. Okay, save all information. Sure. Put it on the desktop. Why not? Wait, does the desktop button no longer work? Is that no longer a thing? Oh, man. This is painful. Are you serious? Okay, settings, system. Is it optional features, I suppose? because there seems to be no apps and features, so optional features. No. Graphics tools. Well, apparently they're installed. Okay, let's look for debug levels. 0 out of 4. So apparently I don't have the debug levels. So at least this was kind of right. Performance toolkit, surely not. So Redist is just like DLLs and shit. Yeah. Oops. So that just shows you the devices. That doesn't really help. There's the compiler. I'm at a loss, dudes. Okay. Let's see what I can install via Visual Studio again, right? So get tools and features. And let's see, individual components. What? Those are all the compilers. Graphics debugger and GPU profiler for DirectX, so we have that at least installed. Maybe. So this is 18.6, this is 18.5. Let me see, where are you pointing to? Right. No, it's still the same thing. I was hoping that maybe if I open the one that Visual Studio actually had, it would just work, but... Okay, I'm getting incredibly annoyed, and I probably need to figure this out somehow by myself, but maybe let's just try and install the whole goddamn SDK. Right. Are you fucking serious? I fucking hate this so much. I hate this so much. Can I just remove it here? I mean, D3D SDK layers is there, I think, right? So let's go to include. Where would you even look? There. In UM, okay. D3D 11 SDK layers H. Yes, that is here. I don't know if I need to include this separately or not. I mean, we can certainly try. I don't mind. At this point, I will do anything, right? So D3D 11 SDK layers dot H, right? Yeah. But that is just the include file, right? That won't change anything. I'm suspecting I need some kind of lib that enables the debug layer somehow. But then it says the debug layer is not installed, and I don't know how to enable that. You know, like if you look at the DX, where is it? This in the diagnostics, it says DirectX debug levels 0 out of 4, right? So this is retail. And I don't know how to enable it. And apparently just installing the Windows SDK is not enough. So I don't know. D3. You think some defines? Okay, let's do if ndef define nope. Man, and this article is just like, yeah, just, you know, just use it. That's how you enable it when you create a device. But like, I need D3, D11 SDK layers DLL, right? So let's check actually if there's a lib for it. Maybe I need to just include the lib, which I haven't done. So, right, so D3D, what do we have? Nope. DX compiler lib. I mean, that one I added. No, I added D3D compiler. Sure. Let's try that. Nope. Yeah, and that one we already include. So, right, we're including these two. I don't think I need this one at all. Whoops. Cannot create D3D11 debug device. Maybe someone has some idea. I don't use anything, right? So this is the D3D compile from file thing, right? It's not me that's creating the device. It's this function that's creating it. So that's the call that actually fails with I mean, there is a device, right? So before that, I create a device, but it's not a debug device. But I'm also not passing the device to D3D compile from file, right? So this is handling its own device thing completely, as far as I understand it. Man, this is so painful. This is so fucking painful. that's the one we're trying to use. Okay, D3D compiled from file. At least someone is trying to use the same thing, and they're getting the same assertion, an if fail, which is this debug device thing. Attempted to create a device with the debug layer enabled. So let's see, maybe they got it fixed somehow. Oh god, are you serious? TCAP1, you might actually be onto something. Oh god. Was that just a red herring the whole time? Yeah. Okay. And someone has some code in there to show how to... Oh god. If that is the case, that is the most stupid error result ever. Why would they reuse that one then? And then specifically type in that error message about the debug layer and stuff like that. Oh god. Man. That was painful. I'm talking as if I already know that this is going to be the fix, but it seems likely, doesn't it? Okay, so let's see. Whoops. So error messages. So this is going to be VS errors. We can't use that. What we need to use is ID3D blob. Get buffer pointer VS blob. Don't need the cast, dude. That's 8. Retry cancel. What do you mean retry cancel? There's nothing to retry cancel, dude. Okay. What? Okay, I have to pick that up real quick. Okay, right, I'm back. ID3D blob. Shouldn't that be ID3D 10? Okay, hang on. Sorry, 11. ID3D blob. Let's look at the blob. I think that might just be... No, it's just called blob. So there should be a get buffer pointer. ID3D blob. Get buffer pointer. So why does this not exist now? There only is ID3D10 blob. ID3D10 blob is a ID3D blob. Man, dudes, come on. And then you do not provide functions for these. Okay, ID3D10 blob it is then. D3D10 blob. Sorry, and we want VS errors, right? Whoops. That is the error message, and then we just have the message box right here. Okay. Build. Whoops. Build. That is looking okay. Okay, yeah, it is a compilation error. Oh my god. Thank you. That was a huge waste of time. Holy moly. Okay. You know, and I was like, yeah, let's just check the H result first before we try to figure out to read the blob, because the return code will probably be, you know, just tell us already what the problem is. And turns out it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. Just check the fucking blob. Okay, well, that is a lesson learned for next time. Just check the blob. Okay, well, but that means I can reset my script. Right, so let me quickly do this because I really do not want to use the other one. So we're just gonna delete this one and rename this one. There we go. I have my slimmed down version again. So projects, and we want to go failed memory. We want to build. It builds. We want to build and run. It does, and it shows the error that we're having. And it just says XM float 2. So that is something that is not recognized, which is this one right here. Probably because in the DirectX samples that they use, they probably have some kind of type def or whatever for this kind of stuff. So do not just copy shader code out of Microsoft's examples, because they also don't work, which is great. So, oh god, right. Can I does any of these tutorials have a shader? I think this one has a shader down here, right? I just want to see. You know what? Let's just copy this one, right? It has the pixel shader in there as well, but it doesn't matter. So we have a struct v out, we have a float for the position and the color. That's a lot more data, I guess. And the vertex shader needs position and color. And then it sets the output and just returns the output. Okay, let's try this one. BS shader, right? Okay. Build. Run in the debugger. Will you look at that? It compiles now. Fantastic. Okay, cool. So, then we can probably do the same with the pixel shader, right? Does that need anything? It has V out, but they don't use V out there. Okay, new file. This is gonna be the pixel shader. Pixel shader HLSL. Right. So we have our vertex shader blob. Then we can have the errors. Sure. Okay. If failed. And then we can just show the error message. That's fine. Like so. The message box is probably okay. It's going to be message box A though. And then we can just say exit process with program failure. Why not? Okay. Then let's compile the pixel shader. We have a pixel shader blob. Let's copy this code right here. Pixel shader, and that is P shader. So V shader, P shader. Cool. Right. Pass in VS errors. This is gonna be PS blob. We can say vertex shader compilation error and pixel shader compilation error. Build run. Okay. Invalid VS5 output semantics SV target. Okay, so that pixel shader doesn't work. Oh, Lord. Okay. Oh, that was that one. Right. Well, they have it normal here. Wait, but SV target, it says it shouldn't work, but it does. This one doesn't have the XM something in here. Weird. Okay, I don't know where I had this other thing then from. Reshader. I really have to learn the shading languages and the syntax so I know what I'm doing there. But at the moment, I'm just trying to get something done because, man, I just want to see something on the screen, all right? Okay. Build run. No, SV targets. SV target doesn't work. So, what the hell? Did I change the VS underscore stuff? You mean this? It's still on 5.0. Which is... Oh, right. Oh, you're... Yeah, good call. Sorry. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. My brain is mush after this. Oh my god. Yes. Thank you. Correct. Right. Okay, cool. We have those compiled. Now, what do we do now? Create shaders and drawing primitives, right? So, then there's an ID3D 11 vertex shader and pixel shader. Okay. Okay, so with this, you point to the shader bytecode, which presumably is in the blob, right? So let's see what they're doing. I think you just take the blob and then point to the buffer inside of it, right? And create those objects. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. And indeed it is. So you get the buffer pointer and the buffer size. Okay, cool. So, cool. So we have create vertex shader and probably create pixel shader. Okay. So we have an ID3D 11 vertex shader. Let's just call that pointer to VS, right? We have another H result. If failed, we want to fail. And the shader bytecode is gonna be in this one right here, but this needs to be just VS blob. And ID3D10 blob get buffer length. Is it buffer length or buffer size? Buffer size. Fine. And this is also this blob right here. Okay. So the font is very big, but okay, this is the bytecode and the bytecode length. ID3D11 class linkage optional. What does that do? A pointer to a class linkage interface. I think we leave that as null because I have no clue what that is. And then we just refer to the to this one. Okay, so NBS. Okay. And if it fails, we are just gonna be hardcore and exit the process. Can just have a generic error message. Shader error. Right, and here we can say failed to create vertex shader object. Not that I think that this can happen, but you know. Okay. And then we probably have the same for pixel shaders. Pixel shader, this is gonna be PS create pixel shader. We want the PS blob and the PS blob right here, and here PS. Failed to create pixel shader object. Okay. Right. So now that we have a pixel shader and vertex shader, we kind of have to use it, right? So how do we do that? How do we do that? I lost the file again. You know what? I'm just gonna close some stuff here because I have way too much open. Nope. Okay, fine. This is create render target view. Don't need that. Holy shit. Okay, I have a lot of tabs. Close this. That was compile the shader. Okay, that seems useful to have open. Nope. Okay, you simply pass them to the device context to use them, I suppose. Okay. Well, this is gonna need our stuff, right? I just named it DirectX stuff. Yeah, so stuff. I know, very intelligent names. Stuff. And this is gonna be the context. D3D11 device context. And there you should be able to say Pixels, pixel shader, set shader. There we go. And you pass that one a pixel shader. Okay, some instancing, but I don't think we're gonna need that. So ID3D 11 device context. PS set shader and also VS set shader. Right, so this needs the vertex shader with null and null. And this needs the pixel shader with null and null. Oh, and we need to pass in stuff context. Stuff context. Okay. So now our pipeline has shaders associated with them. So how do we feed data to it, right? Also, didn't I have a tab open with a Microsoft tutorial for this stuff? Where did that go? Primitive. Draw primitives. Come on, that was a Microsoft tutorial. Primitive topologies. Okay, that talks about on how you can interpret the vertex points, right? So you specify these points, and then depending of what kind of topology, I suppose, is what they call it, what you use, they get interpreted in different ways. That much I remember from back in the day. So triangle strips and all this kind of stuff. But okay, that seems like a good site to have open. Draw primitives. Ah, yeah, here's the stupid shader with the thing that failed compilation. Okay, so after the vertex shader code, you need, it seems a layout, an input layout. Okay, let's close these. This is kind of annoying. Okay, so in our vertex shader, this is our input. We just have a float of 2, right? So I'm just gonna leave that here so I don't forget. Right. My dog is snoring super loud right now. So the input layout just specifies what kind of layout the data has, right? So we're probably going to have a buffer, a vertex buffer that contains all our points, but we kind of need to tell DirectX on how to interpret that buffer. So you need a vertex layout, so it knows, you know, what kind of data is in that buffer. In this instance, it's using the format R32, G32 float, right? Because we have 2 floating point values for X and Y coordinates. Okay, so let's create an input layout. Create input layout. So we need this one. Vertex shader input layout. Has an H result, which is excellent. So if fails, create input layout. So this is a function of ID3D11 device. ID3D11 device. So we need to pass in stuff device. Okay. And then we have an input element description. So our description looks as follows. Let's say vs description or input description, right? And so they just use it as an array with 1 entry. Fine. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. Okay. Let's see. What do we have? What does this look like? A semantic name. The HLSL semantic associated with this element in a shader input signature. So is that the name that needs to align with this name? I guess HLSL semantics seem to be something fixed. Yes. Okay. Right, that makes sense. So this one is also like a specific semantic, right? The output value will be stored in a render target, right? Okay. And I guess the default target is 0 then. Okay. What's the difference between these two? In Direct3D 10 and later, the SV position semantic, when used in context of a pixel shader, specifies screen space coordinates. Okay. I guess this is just a very specific way to... Okay, yeah, whatever. So SV position for pixel shaders, I suppose. Okay, fine. It would be nice to have some kind of HLSL tutorial so I understand the syntax more, because at the moment I'm just looking at this and this is like guesswork, right? Okay, yeah, this looks a little bit like C. Okay, you have data types, fine. You can give them like specific meaning, which is probably a way to bind them with your C code, I suppose, right? Okay, input element description. So we're gonna go with the semantic name, and the semantic name in this instance is gonna be position. Semantic index. Right, so you can have multiple ones. That is shown here with position n. Right. N is an optional integer between 0 and the number supported. Okay, so we could write it like, like so. But I guess if you leave it out, it means 0 by default. Probably. So index is gonna be 0. Format, right. So this is the actual format of the pixel, right? We're using floats, and we have 2 of them. So we'll probably need, and we're using 32-bit floats, so R32G32 float, if I understand that correctly. An integer value that identifies the input assembler, input slot. What does that mean? Does that just mean you can have multiple input buffers in different slots? I'm just going to leave a note there that I need to learn about these. I'll just leave it at null for now. If in doubt, set to null. Align byte offset, optional. Offset in bytes from the start of the vertex. I mean, that's the only thing we have. So I guess 0. Input slot class. Goody, goody, goody. Per vertex data. Or per instance data. I guess per vertex data. What does that resolve to? 0. Okay. See, if in doubt, use 0. We're not using instancing or anything like that, so should be fine. Instance data step rate. The number of instances to draw using the same pair. Yeah, we don't have instance, so it must be 0 if we're using this. Okay. Ah, yeah. You have multiple input slots. Okay. So you can have multiple vertex buffers. Okay, so that makes sense. So the input assembler slots are really just as I suspected, just multiple buffers for different vertex data. Okay. We kind of ended up with the same thing. Okay. Right, so let's create the input layout, right? So the description, that is gonna be vs input description. Number of elements, 1. Shader bytecode with input signature. Why do I need to provide the shader bytecode again? Interesting. Whatever, we can just do it, but I just remember I have array size, which is a macro. No, it's not array size. Nope, not arena. Array count. There you go. That just automatically calculates the length. So if I add more items, it will just add the right thing. Okay, so we need the bytecodes again, so I'm just going to copy this because... so we have the stuff device, input buffer description, this, right? This is going to be the vertex buffer blob again. And then we return the input layout. Okay. VS layout. This is gonna be here. Fail to create vertex shader input layout. Whatever. Okay. Do I have to do the same for the pixel shader now? It seems not. So the next step that they're doing is they specify the vertex buffers for the triangles, the indices, so the index buffer, creating a vertex and index buffer, so from what I remember, I kind of still remember this stuff a little bit. So the vertex buffer is just the raw points that you have. So let's say, so the XY position, right? So this is one vertex. And then you have multiple one of these in the list. And then to describe your object, you have an index buffer that then specifies which points of these make up a triangle, right? So this has index 0, right? Index 1, index 2, 3. I mean, you know how, my God, you know how indexes work, right? So, and then in the index buffer, you then specify, okay, my first triangle will be, I don't know, with point, oh my God, this is 4, sorry, will be with point 1, 2, and 4, right? So, and the next triangle in my list will be with point 0, 1, and, I don't know, 3, right? Something like that. And then, of course, depending on the topology you use, those indices also get interpreted in different ways. So, but I think we're just going to use, I don't even know. Where do they actually set the topology? Oh, there you go, triangle list. So it's just going to be a list of triangles. So 3 points each. I assume. Oh, goodness. Well, you're learning with me if you don't have any idea how this works either. And if you do, I apologize for me stumbling so much. It's just, you know, I'm learning. Okay, I probably want to do this outside of this function. I need to pass the triangle indices and vertices to this. Okay. I think this is the shader stage done. compile and load shaders, right? I mean, we kind of already set them into the pipeline, which was probably a bit... okay, the vertex shader layout, where does that actually get used? The input layout. Nope. I mean, I guess with the buffers, or where do I need to tell DirectX what the layout is at some point, right? Or is this already doing it with the device and I don't need the return? But that would seem weird. Ah, in the context later, set input layout. Okay, so let's just add the layout to our buffer. No need for the vertex shader and pixel shader because I'm not going to change them in any way. So I'm just going to leave that in here. So let's go to stuff, input layout, input layout, right? So we need to hold on to this. I can't wait to refactor this after I know what I need to do. Like, this is gonna go all much nicer. At the moment, it's just like hacking everything together. Okay, so this is gonna be stuff, input, layout. I don't know what I wrote there, but it was anything but vertex. All right. Oh, there's an ad break. Sorry, I've not been paying attention about ad breaks at all. So apologies if I tried to explain something and then there was an ad break and no one saw it or heard it. How long have we been going? 2 hours and 30 minutes. Okay. So now let's call this create buffers, right? And we probably need our DirectX stuff. And this is where we specify our buffers. So let's start with the vertex buffer. So we have our vertices. Float 2. Well, it's just a 32-bit float, right? So really what I need is struct This is vertices. I probably need to specify how many, right? You know what? Let's have separate create vertex buffers, because I can see this kind of grows a lot. So let's just call this count. Let's just say create vertex buffer. Okay, that will be our data type, where we can specify an array. We just pass this in. And what we need to do is say create buffer. Okay, so create buffer. There we go. Bam. Bam. If failed, right? And then we do our failing thing, whatever that will be. And this is, hang on, this is part of the device. So Direct3D device, create buffer, and it's gonna be stuff device. Okay, now we need a buffer description, right? So let's do it this way, and we initialize that in a moment, right? We just need our description. We need the initial data, the sub-resource data. Does that need to be a separate? It is. Okay. Well, this is gonna be our data. And then we need the PP buffer. This is children humor, I apologize. The pointer. So this is just gonna be the buffer. Actually, you know what? Let's just add that directly to the struct, right? So this is gonna be our vertex buffer and D3D11 buffer, our index buffer, right? So this means pointer to stuff vertex buffer. Wait. Yeah. And if we failed, buffer creation error. Failed to create vertex buffer. Okay, now buffer description. So we need to make sense of what the data is that we pass in, right? For that, we're gonna have a buffer description. What does our description have? I probably can't do it this way, right? So I forget it's C. Desk dot shoot. Desk dot okay. So the byte width, the size of the buffer in bytes, so that is gonna be size of our floaty2 type, would be nice if I know how to spell size of, times the count, right? So how many items do we have in the array? The usage. What will be our buffer used for? Or maybe not. Identifies the expected resource, whether the resource is accessible by a CPU or the graphics programming unit. So usage default, a resource that requires read and write access by the GPU. A resource can only read by the GPU. Okay, dynamic. So the GPU only read only and the CPU has write only. Or staging. I mean, usage dynamic seems like the use case I would be going for, right? Because the GPU only reads it while the CPU only writes it. But let's just use default because I don't know, what else dynamic might need. And at this stage, I just want results. So if in doubt, go with 0, and 0 is default. Bind flags. Identify how the buffer will be bound to the pipeline. Well, this is going to be vertex buffer, right? And indeed, there is a vertex buffer. There's quite a lot of buffers. Interesting. Okay, CPU access flags. Doesn't usage already define that? CPU access, right. The resource is to be mappable so the CPU can change its contents or read. I mean, I don't know, dude. I would specify 0, but we'll see in a second what the example does. MISC flags. Oh shoot. Okay. If in doubt, go with 0. Structure byte stride. The size of each element in the buffer structure in bytes when the buffer represents a structured buffer. So I guess size of float 2, right? That would make sense. So, and sub-resource data is the actual pointer to, well, the data. So the system memory pitch, and the slice pitch. Okay, system memory, pointer to the initialization data. Well, that would be vertices, right? We just want to point to the array of where the thing begins. The distance in bytes from the beginning of one line of a texture to the next line. Size of float 2. And this one is only used for 3D textures, so we do not have that. So let's set that to 0, I suppose. Let's see if we made sense or not. Default vertex buffer 0, 0, 0. Oh, structure byte stride. Why is that 0? Is this not a structured buffer? A structured buffer is a buffer that contains elements of equal sizes. I mean, isn't that the case? To do y0 and why not the size of one element. It's just a note for me to learn a few things. Okay. We have the triangle vertices. Pitch is 0. Why? System memory pitch is only used for 2D and 3D textures. Okay, it has no meaning for anything else, right? Okay, so, and this is just the vertex buffer, so fine, okay. But this one doesn't say that it only has meaning for textures, so I'm curious. Well, okay, that is the vertex buffer. Now let's create the index buffer. For that, we still use create buffer. They have them as unsigned short. Okay. Fine. So unsigned short 16 indices and the count. Okay, buffer description is gonna be size of u16 times count. Usage is default. That is probably gonna be the index buffer. And then just leave the rest like that as well. This is gonna be indices. And this is gonna be the index buffer. Okay, compile and load shaders needs stuff. Right, and then we have create vertex buffer, and that is gonna be our vertices and whatever the count will be. Let's just say, right, and then create index buffer, indices, and whatever the size will be. We can probably say array count like so. Indices. Right. And then we can specify them right here. let's just say data. Float 2t vertices. Let's just steal the exact same coordinates, why not? Okay, and this is gonna be I'm not sure if Visual Studio, if the Microsoft C compiler is okay with this syntax. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. Actually, I haven't been trying to build in a while, so maybe I should. What happened to the font? Jesus. Yeah, there's a few errors. So type def struct. Create vertex shader. What? Where do you... Oh man, right. Create vertex shader. I called this with... It's on the device, right? So this is gonna be ID3D11 device, and then we need the device. Stuff device. Right. Conversion from okay, I don't care about this warning. Indices, undeclared identifier. Yes, that is correct. I haven't added them yet, so use 16 indices, and let's just copy them as well. There you go. Okay. No message box opened, so I assume everything went all right. We're getting there. We're getting there. Drawing the triangle and presenting the rendered image. Exactly. It's damn exciting. I know. Okay, first we call ID3D11 device context. Set input layout. Okay. So this needs to be done, I assume, in the loop as well, right? So in the actual drawing code. Because like here, I set the render target. I clear the render target view. And then I probably want to set up all the other stuff, right? So ID3D device context, IA set input layout, right? So this is going to be stuff context, and the input layout should be stuff input layout. And then set vertex buffer and set index buffer in the device context. Okay, so ID3D11 device context. Set vertex buffers in stuff context and start slot. Zero. Right, so apparently there's 16 slots or 32 slots available. Not sure what it depends on right now, but I do not care. Number of buffers. We have one buffer. Then the PP vertex buffer. Imagine that. So this is gonna be stuff vertex buffer. Strides. Pointed to an array of stride values. One stride value for each buffer in the vertex buffer array. Huh? Pointed to an array of stride values. What does that mean? Oh, that's just the elements you actually want to use. I'm curious why this has to be a pointer. That is very weird. But okay, I'll play your game. Strides. Size of float 2. And then U32 offset is 0. They say it's optional, but it doesn't say optional here. Oh no, it does here, but this is so weird. Okay, I'm not quite sure. I mean, this will just be 0 anyways. Who am I to question the example, right? Anyways, set vertex buffers. Then we want to set the index buffer. So ID3D11 device context stuff context. That's just gonna be the index buffer, stuff index buffer. the format. Only formats allowed for index buffer data is format R16uint or R32uint. Okay, we use shorts, so it's R16uint. And offsets in bytes, well, it's 0, but this one is not a pointer. Okay, I don't know why these have to be pointers. That is very curious. Why are strides and offsets pointers? I mean, no, I know why they're pointers, right? Because they're arrays, but what? Why? That's a bit weird. I'm sure there's some use case that I don't understand. I mean, that is very much likely. Okay, then we specify the primitive topology. Also on the context, ID3D 11 device context stuff context. So this will be how we draw our points, right? And we specify this as a triangle list. Set the vertex and pixel shader stage. They do that here. I did that like when I'm creating the buffer. Does that matter? Do I have to redo it? Can't I just bound it once? Presumably it doesn't get reset, right? Let's try without. To do. Maybe set PS and VS in here instead of the setup. I guess this is more for like situations when you want to change the shader for specific things. Draw the cube. Wait, are we drawing a cube or a triangle? I thought we're drawing a triangle. I mean, we only have 3 points. How do you want to draw a cube? It says triangle here, but down here in the sample they say cube. It's quality. Quality, man. Okay, so we just call draw indexed on the device context. And then we tell the swap chain to present. Okay. ID3D11. Device context. Draw indexed. Draw index. The index count, a number of indices to draw. 3. Start location 0. Hang on, I need the context. A value added to each index before reading a vertex from the vertex buffer. 0. Right? Let's see. Oh, they use array size. Yeah, fine. Array count vertices. Okay. You can do the same. Wait, indices, not vertices. And then 0, 0. Cool. We see nothing. Well, that's sad. It was a nice try. So why don't we see anything? That is the question now, isn't it? I'm not resizing the buffers at the moment, but that's okay because like the window size is the same as the buffers, right? So what do we do here? We set the depth to be 0.5. And then we just draw a yellow triangle. Okay. Okay. I pick you up. There you go. Hi. Hi, hi, hi. It didn't work. It didn't work, dude. It didn't work. I want to know why it didn't work. The only thing I can think of is maybe I do have to bind pixel shader and vertex shader down here. But I don't see why that would be necessary. But that's like the only difference I can think of between the two, like between the example and my thing. So maybe let's store pixel shader and vertex shader and stuff as well. Pixel shader and vertex shader. Damn. That is annoying after all this typing. They say triangle strip here, but they have triangle list here. But that shouldn't really matter, should it? I mean, it's the same points, really. Yeah. So, how do I debug this? And I wonder... Render doc? Okay. So I run so there's another tutorial here with like the depth buffer and stuff like that. I do not use that at the moment, but that shouldn't matter, right? Because we're just specifying points to draw at. We're not caring about depth as such. Like the depth buffer is just to figure out if stuff is behind anything else, right? From what I understood. Render doc. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I thought as well, at least. I've never used render docs, so this will be interesting. Sure. Okay. That's a lot. Okay, so our executable, that's gonna be projects, shader memory, builds, debug, this one right here. The working directory, however, is this one. Command line arguments, we have none. Yeah. What just happened? A crash happened. I love this. I love software. I honestly love software. That's amazing. Nope. I'm just trying to use your product, man. There you go. I know that was slightly mean, but hey. Well, cool. So I can't use that. Any other ideas? Attached to running instance. I could maybe try that, but that doesn't help me with the setup, right? So I could do that maybe. Build run, right? And then attached to running instance. No. Is that not what I think it is? So you can't select the... No, that's not how it works. Okay. This is really just for remote. Okay, remoting. Great, 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 great. I wonder why it fails. I mean, tool looks great. Don't get me wrong. It looks useful. Another thing I could try is... graphics. But that's like app packages. I don't care about app packages. Graphics. If I do this now, it will just start whatever I have selected as... Yeah, no. Can I not... Okay, hang on. We got this. We got this. We got this. Dev env build debug failed memory. How do you open Visual Studio again? Devenv. I typed that the second time, yeah, because I thought that was wrong, but devenv doesn't work. It's a good start, isn't it? It might be because of the shell. Hang on, let me try this one. This one might do it. Nope. And then Devon builds debug. Really? Is that just using the same shell? Let's try number 2. Right. Yeah, that's script. I thought that's what the developer prompt runs automatically for you, but I guess not. I might have overwritten this one. And maybe it's not calling the right thing anymore. No, it should. Does anything work? CL works. Works here. Okay, fine. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted properties. Let's not play around for too long. Build, debug, memory X. I don't want to add it to the path, so I actually try to avoid Visual Studio as much as possible, but if the graphics debugger work, I think I might have to use it then. Read access value. What? Violation. Oh, yeah, right. Of course, this will do it now because it's looking in the wrong folder. But it's good to know that it doesn't even show anything. You know, like the compilation failed, but then errors is empty. So it doesn't even show like, hey, we couldn't find the file. It really just is for compilation errors. So now you have to check whether this is null as well. And it's just like, oh, man, come on. Okay. Debug, graphics. Start graphics debugging. Well, at least it runs. I don't know what it's doing, but okay. Capture frame. Access violation. What? Okay. Continue. Type words to search for. Why is that on top of everything? Oh my god, I found the DirectX control panel. Why is this on top? What? Go away. What the hell? Software is so broken, man. Well, not so much. Oh, you have to specify an executable name. Okay, fine. Anyways, not what I want to do, right? So it did something, but it did nothing? Like, what's happening? Like, where can I see, like, output windows? No, those are diagnostic tools. Whatever. Let's try again. I just can't use anything. How do people get anything done with this shit, honestly? Like, what am I supposed to do now? I know. I kind of need to walk my dog anyway, so maybe I just call it a day, which would be really unsatisfying ending for today, honestly. I was hoping at least to have a triangle. I went into this all optimistic of like, hey, I'm gonna load a texture and display a texture. Hell yeah! And now I can't even get a freaking triangle onto the screen. This is annoying. Yeah. And that none of these debugging tools work. It's like, what the heck is going on? Like, I don't understand. Jesus. I'm not running it, am I? No. So... Yeah, I was we're on the same page kind of thing. It kind of always crashed around here, so I was thinking, maybe if I just comment this line out and see what happens. Actually, right, so we have a black screen, that's fine. Let's see. Which one should I try first? Let's do render top. Nope. Okay, let's disable all of this. Okay. We're getting somewhere. I mean, the clear screen would be weird if that is the issue, right? Good. Wow, 10,000 FPS. Hey, ship it, ship it. Best game ever. Okay. So optimized, yeah. So optimized, it doesn't draw anything. Okay, let's set the input layout and see if that works, right? Let's just go through one by one. Okay, input layout seems to work. Let's do vertex buffers. Ah. I'm not sure why I pressed send there. Okay. Let's figure out if that is the only line that's crashing, right? Let's try index buffers. Index buffers work. Okay. Let's try setting primitive topology. I mean, that should probably work as well, but let's be careful, right? Let's not... Yep. Cool. Let's set the vertex shader. Yes. Pixel shader. Okay. And I mean, I could say draw index, but the buffer is empty, right? So it will probably, I mean, I don't know what it will do. We'll see. I mean, it starts up, but that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, okay, so it still works. Okay, so something in the vertex buffer is not quite right. So let's figure out what's going on. Oh. I wonder. No, CPU access flags are all 0. Okay, let's look at the signature and see if we already can figure out what's going on, right? So, start slot 0. Number of buffers 1. Let's compare that to the example. Zero and 1. Wait. Dude, it's a pointers of pointers. Like, I guess that makes sense because technically the GPU could write into that buffer as well, right? That was the whole thing about access flags. So I just passed in the pointer instead of the address of the pointer. I think that's it. Look at that. What a beautiful, beautiful triangle. Ah, I'm in love. Oh no, there's an ad break. Thank you. Do you see the smile on my face? Oh man, that was quite a challenge to get that up. Holy moly. But now we know how to do it, I suppose. I feel even more like an asshole now that I just wrote that update message. But okay. Okay, so I can also capture frames now with this tool, so this is cool. This is quite cool that you can actually see the data that it has in the buffers. That's quite nice. Like, that's really cool. Oh, look at that. It even shows you the swap chain image. That's awesome. Of course, I have no idea how to use this tool properly, but hey, probably something I need to learn at some point, right? But that's pretty cool. Draw indexed. Nice. $10,000 FPS for a triangle. Okay, so the resolution is 800 by 600. I have to figure out how I want to do the rendering with like... I mean, there's lots more I need to figure out first before I think about that. Forget what I just said. The next thing would be to make this a cube and then trying to texture it. But I really need to walk my dog at the moment. She gives me the puppy eyes from down there. So it's been fun. Thank you for enduring that with me. That was painful. But we got there. There's so much more to learn, but it's a good start, I feel like. Nice. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. So the next scheduled stream would be on Monday morning, but yeah, okay, I'm not going to promise that I can stream on the weekend or something, but I might do, but I'm not sure yet. But anyways, Mondays. Okay, bye.